Well, hello everybody, welcome to Jeff's Baking Blog. Today, as Christmas is approaching, I'm going to be making panettone. This is an Italian bread type cake that they make and eat at Christmas, widely available in shops all over the place, I think, as well. So I'll go through the ingredients quickly. I've got here 3 eggs, 400 grams of strong white bread flour, 100 grams of sugar, the zest of 1 orange and 1 lemon, 1 teaspoon of vanilla extract, 70 grams of butter, 7 grams of dry active yeast. I've got 85 grams of sultanas, 65 grams of raisins and 60 grams of candied peel. And in this bowl I have 60 millilitres of milk and 60 millilitres of water, warmed to about 43 degrees Celsius, about 110 Fahrenheit. Up to 110 to 115 is okay, I think. Now I don't have a panettone tin, so I'm going to be using this 18 centimetre cake tin with a removable base, and I'm going to line it with baking parchment up to about here, so that hopefully the dough can rise properly and it won't spill over the top. I'll also probably put some brown paper around the outside to give it some extra strength. Now the first thing to do is to take the dry active yeast, and this is different to easy bake yeast. Easy bake yeast is the sort that you put into the flour dry, and then as you mix it, it will activate and work. This dry active yeast usually likes to have some warm liquid to get it activated. So we put that in and stir it round. Straight away you can smell the yeast. And then, excuse me, we're going to leave that to start activating for 5 minutes. It should, in that time, 5 to 10 minutes, should then become a little bit frothy. Then we'll go on to the next step. So I'll be back with you when we've got our frothy yeast. Okay, so now our yeast has started to activate. You can see that it's changed colour in this milk and water liquid a little bit, and it's begun to go a little bit frothy. So what we do now is to add about 4 tablespoons of flour, strong white bread flour. And a couple of teaspoons of sugar. We're going to mix them in. And then we're going to cover this for 30 minutes or until it's doubled in size. This is our starter dough then. This is going to enhance the flavour of the bread after we've got the dough mixed. You can already smell the yeast. So that should just about double in size in about 30 minutes. So I'll be back with you then and we'll go on to the next step. Okay, well now I'm back having spent about 30 minutes allowing this yeast to rise. I can see it bubbling in front of me, you can see it here. So we'll go on to the next step, and the next step is to mix some further ingredients. So we'll put our 3 eggs into the bowl. Together with the sugar and the vanilla and the orange and lemon zest. I need to add one more item to the list of ingredients I gave at the beginning, and that's about half a teaspoon of salt, which I've put into the flour mix already. I always forget that. So then we beat these together. Just like that. And to that we're going to add this starter dough. I'll tip it up, maybe you can see all the nice bubbles in it. So we're going to pour that in. We want all of it. And we'll mix that together as well. Then we'll put it onto our stand mixer. Add our flour. We're going to mix that together for about 5 minutes. Okay, so we've been mixing that for about 5 minutes. Now I'm going to add the butter. And combine that. And then we'll take our fruit and put that in, our candied peel, our sultanas, also known as golden raisins in some places, and our raisins, and we're just going to mix those until they're combined, not for very long. I want to lift the bottom up. So that the fruit can mix in to every part of the dough. And as you can see, we have a very, very sticky dough. I'll give those one more slight mix. Okay, and then we're going to turn that out onto the floured work surface, and you need quite a bit of flour because this dough is very sticky and we want to knead it slightly until we've lost the stickiness. I do like to try and get as much of all these mixtures as possible. I think if you paid for them, you might as well use them. So we'll scrape that out. And we'll sprinkle some flour on the top and start to bring it together. As you can see, it's very sticky. One more little bit of flour, mix that in. I think that's about ready. So what I have here is a large bowl, and I've oiled this bowl, and we're going to put the dough in there like that. You can see it in there, and then we're going to cover this with cling film, and we're going to leave it to rise for 3 to 4 hours. We want it to just about triple in size. Very often with breads and such like, we want them to double in size. This one we want it to triple in size. So we'll leave it for 3 to 4 hours. As you can see, this is rather a long recipe, because once it's risen, we're going to do the next stage, and it's going to rise again for another 2 to 3 hours. So it takes all day to make this, but I tell you, from what I've read and everybody I've spoken to, it's well worth the effort. So what we do, we'll take some cling film, and make sure it's completely airtight. And leave it in a warm place for 3 to 4 hours till it's tripled in size, and at that time I'll be back with you and we'll go on to the next steps. Welcome back. So it's now just under 4 hours. since we put our dough in the bowl to prove and to rise, and I think it's just about trebled in size. I'll take the cling film off. So the next thing to do is to take it out of the bowl, knock it back a bit, and then put it into our cake tin. Now this is the cake tin, and as you can see I've double lined it with baking parchment, and that's now about 8 inches tall, which I think should be more than enough for what we're going to get from this cake. So I'll just tip that out, and as you can see it's full of air. I'll just sprinkle a little bit of flour on it. Of course it's become quite sticky again. And that's all we're going to do to it. I'm going to drop it into this tin. As best I can. So you can see it in the tin there like that. And I'm going to simply take a knife and cut a cross in it for the time being. It doesn't have to be very precise. And with that, I'm going to cover it again with cling film, and I'm going to let it prove and rise again until it's at least doubled in size. That's going to take between 2 and 3 hours. So I'll be back with you when it's risen, and we'll wash it with some egg and put it into the oven. Now the oven needs to be at 350 degrees, which is Fahrenheit, which is 180 Celsius, 160 Celsius fan. So, but you can preheat that just before you, sort of 10 minutes before you finish the proving this time round. So, with that, I'm going to cover this as best I can and allow it to prove one more time. And I'll be back with you in a couple of hours, 2 to 3 hours. Right, so now I'm back and it's 3 hours later, or just about, and our dough has risen. It's come up above the top of this cake tin. It will probably rise a little bit more once it's in the oven, but I have enough paper to keep that in check. I'll just show you. So what we're going to do is I have here an egg which has been beaten and mixed with some milk, and I'm just going to brush that gently over the top of the dough so that we get a nice browning colour on the dough as it bakes. The oven is preheating at to 180 Celsius, 160 Celsius with a fan, 350 Fahrenheit. And so what we need to do is to bake this in the oven for 45 minutes. Now I've taken the racks out so that I've only got the lower rack in at the moment, which will give room for this to go in without touching the elements or anything like that. So I'll pop this in the oven now. And I'm going to let that bake for 45 minutes. Then I'll test it with a skewer to see that it comes out clean. If it comes out clean, I'll take it out. If not, then I'll leave it in for a few more minutes until it's fully done. And then I'll be back with you when we can take it out of the cake tin and have a look at it. So I'll be back with you shortly. I'm back again now, and as you can see, I've taken the panettone out of the oven. It rose quite well and it baked for exactly 45 minutes, and a skewer in the middle came out clean. So I'm happy that it's cooked properly. It smells wonderful. The smell that it gives off as it's cooking, with the orangey smell from the orange peel and the candied fruit, is just simply wonderful. Now you'll have to forgive me, but I'm not going to cut this at the moment. Firstly, because it's still very, very warm, and secondly, because I want to take it intact to family in a few days' time, ready for Christmas. And I don't think it's quite fair to deliver something like this with a slice already taken out of it. And so there we have it. I'll put the recipe, or a link to the recipe, below this video, so you can click on that. And I have to say, although I've used sultanas and raisins and candied peel, you can actually put any combination of fruits and such like, or chocolate chips or something. I just thought for Christmas, sultanas, raisins and candied peel are traditional, particularly in Britain, if you make a Christmas cake in the way that we usually have them. So I think this is a very good substitute for that. Anyway, that's it for today. I hope you'll join me again soon. I'm thinking the next recipe may well be some Christmas time biscotti. So we'll see. I'll be with you again soon. So in the meantime, happy baking.